Hello there, farmers. Wheels 24/7 here. Welcome to Farming Simulator 25. With the new release of the game, I thought what I would do is I would go ahead and start a career save game in the Asian map and kind of start this from a beginning standpoint for people who may be new to Farm Sim or haven't played it in a long time. I do suggest that you do the tutorial before watching this Let's Play, but I'm going to select the map here, Hutan Pantai. We're going to be a new farmer. We're going to start out with the normal amount of money. No loans here. By the way, this is just a debt load. It doesn't mean you get additional money. It just means you start with a debt. Okay. Economic difficulty, we're going to go with normal. And we are going to go on the start farm, but we are not going to do the guided tour. So this is where you would pick up after you do the guided intro tour. So I would suggest you go and do this first. And if you're new to the game, and then you would start with a Let's Play like this one. So we're going to start in just as if that's true, that we've completed the tutorial. Here's a few mods from the mod hub that were available when the game launched earlier today. I'm going ahead and put those in. But I'm going to go ahead and hit start, and we'll be back once we're on the main farm. Okay, folks, so here we are on the main farm. I've created my character, which I won't do in this Let's Play, and we are ready to go on the main farm. Again, assuming we've already done the tutorial. If you have any questions about things, you can go to Grandpa, and he'll give you information, and you can also go over there to Ben, and he will tell you information as well about different things. I believe he talks about rice, which we will probably go ahead and get into. But here we are on the main farm that you start with, the starter farm on Hutan Pantai. And we've got a few things here to start with. We've got our truck right there. We've got our little Jeep thing to get around in, whatever you call that. And we've got our combine, the Massey. And then we have our house here with the sleep trigger. So when it's time for me to go to sleep, I'll go over here to that and click the button to interact with it, and I will sleep, enter in the time selection to sleep. If I want to go here, then I can select this with the R key to change my character setup and get my avatar all set up. So, by the way, if you press C, you can go into third-person mode. So, anyway, so here we are on the main farm. I think what I'll do is I'll start with this first episode, and then if it looks like there's a good response to this and people want me to continue, then we'll just keep going with this for a bit. So how many episodes we'll do, I'm not sure. Depending on the response how we get, we'll go ahead and continue if we can. So anyway, here's our farmyard. We've got a couple of mushroom greenhouses here, which we just need to supply, I think, just supply water to, and they will start producing mushrooms right there. And we have a couple of sheds that we really can't use, but I'll probably go ahead and sell these just so I have room here on the location. We do have some rice greenhouses over here for our rice seedlings to start growing, which we can also use. And then this right here is some sort of a shed, they call it. And we'll probably get rid of that too. So over here we have our rice harvester, and we have our rice planter here as well. So if you want to get rid of buildings, what you would do is you go into your construction mode, and you would be in destruction mode. Basically, you would hover over, if you own the land, hover over a building that you don't want and click sell and just confirm, and it's gone. We'll do the same thing for this one here. You don't have to do this. It's just I'd rather use the spot for something else rather than just a building that really isn't useful. So, whether or not you should delete them is totally up to you. But this farm barn right here, I don't really have a reason to keep it, I don't think. So maybe there is a reason. If there is a reason and I should have kept it, well, I guess we always thought that I should have. But you can't sell that building right there. Now, if you want to go in and you want to terraform and paint the ground, you can go into You got the sculpting, then you've got painting. We can go in here and try to find the ground texture. We'll go with gravel. Basically, you hit M on your keyboard and you can get a bigger area with which to do this. Now, this does cost money, so be careful as you are painting ground that you don't use up all your money in the process. Now, if I want to paint that green instead and plant grass there, we can go into trees and plants, and then I can go ahead and put the grass in there and make it look like it never was a different color or a different texture. All right, so we got that covered. All right, so that kind of clears up my land for me. I do have my Great Plains cedar right here. We have a cultivator. We have our white tractor, the AGCO tractor, and that's it. I'm gonna look and see what vehicles you do have on your farm in the list. Then go into the escape menu and select the graph icon right here. Go over to vehicles, and then you're going to see all the vehicles that you own in the list. And if you want to sell one, what you would do is highlight it. Then you would go down here and press sell. Now you are going to sell it for a sell price, not exactly what it was worth to buy new. Okay. So that's how you find a list of vehicles and you're able to sell them. Of course, you got your hand tools, such as your chainsaws. You've got your price for all of your different grains and all the different items that you can produce, even your manufactured items down here on the bottom, going so far as stones, which you collect off fields. So finances, if you want to take out a loan, you can go over to the finance tab, press space to borrow $5,000 at a time in increments. And as you push that, it will change your totals right here. But be advised, once you start hitting space, then you did actually borrow the money. There is no confirmation. If you want to repay it, you can do the same thing and simply repay it. And then you have your stats section. You can find out how much time you spent doing field work, what's your total time played on your save game and years played and all that stuff if you want those stats. So lots of different things are available on this icon right here at the bottom of your escape menu. Okay. So at the top, you have a map. Now on the map, it'll show you all the different crop types by color code. And you can also look at the growth stage. You can also see if the field's been, what the state the field's in, cultivated, plowed, seeded, or harvested. Remove foliage would be for your root crops, like your sugar beets and your potatoes. Withered means that it's too late to harvest them. Soil composition basically tells you whether something's been fertilized, whether it needs lime, if it's got stones, if it's been mulched, and that kind of thing. You can go ahead and select and deselect these things to change layers. So if you want to find out only about lime, you can deselect everything else and only show what needs to be limed. Or you could show what only needs to be seeded or what's been fertilized, excuse me, or weeds even. So you can select all of them or some of them, or even none of them. Okay, you do have your hotspots right here, which tells you where all these different things are on the map, and you can toggle those on and off as well. Your farmland is where you would buy land. So if you want to buy a area that's unowned, you can see what we do own in green. If you want to buy something that's unowned, you would simply click on that plot of land. It'll tell you the value of it, how big it is. You can visit the land if you want, and you can buy the land if you have enough money. So that's how you would buy land. Just go into the map and farmland, okay? Create job is basically allowing vehicles to travel from one part of the map to the other, and a little bit glitchy, but you can literally take one of your tractors by selecting it. Select, for example, the white tractor, and then you would click reset, sell. You can sell it right here as well. You can create a job, or you can simply set a destination for it to travel to. So if I wanted the white tractor, the AI, to drive it from point A to point B, I would click set destination. Then I get a little icon here with an arrow, and I would tell it to go to a certain spot, click it once, and then the second time you click it is which way you want the vehicle facing. If I click it a second time, then that means this job has already started and the tractor is going to that spot. If I want to follow it, of course I can, or I can get in it. So we're going to see the white tractor travel down to the area where I told it to go. Now, like I said, this is a little bit glitchy, so it doesn't always work, but I think it's useful to get things from point A to point B if that's something you desire. So he'll get there to the point I told it, which, all right, so that's where he's at. If you want to set it to come back, you got to get out of it again, hit your escape menu, and go back to the tractor. Click it to create a job, or just click the vehicle, then hit set destination. Click it once for the place you want it, and then a second time for the direction you want it to face. And it should turn around and go back. Now you noticed how glitchy it is right there because it was interacting with that other vehicle. So again, doesn't always work right, but it will get you from point A to point B. So going back into that menu, you do have your crop calendar, which the green tells you when you can plant. The red or orange tells you when you can harvest. If you have animals, it'll show you your animal pens and stuff, which we don't have. You have missions right here, which you can select. Missions, all the new missions are listed here. Once you've selected one, if you want to look at, you can do up to 3 active missions. You can go right there. So if I wanted to do a mission, for example, what I would do is I would just go like this. It'll show me what I need to actually do the mission. And this is the field that it's going to be done on. This is the place where it's being delivered. Okay, so we can go ahead and select this mission for future reference. Now, if you want to use your own equipment, you can do that. You would simply select accept contract, and you will be able to do this contract with your own equipment. If you want to, you can borrow the items. Those will be available at the store, and you can grab those and go over there and do that contract, okay? And once I complete the contract, then I'll earn $17,000 that will go towards my farm totals. So, all right, so that's how you would do that. I am going to accept this contract, and we're going to go ahead and borrow those items. That seems like a good contract. So I'll do that. That's pretty well done. You've got things for fertilizing, cultivating, rock removal, plowing, spraying, wood transport. You can even do bales, and you can even do mowing. Now, if you don't complete the contract, you can use borrowed items to do multiple contracts. If you do not hit the complete at the end, which I'll show you later. Sometimes if you collect more grain than what the contract requires and there's a little bit of excess, you'll get a little bit of a bonus in your bank. Note that you cannot collect grass or you cannot collect bales when you do baling or mowing missions. The grass is not available to be picked up, and bales cannot be picked up. So anyway, you got an idea what's going on there. I've already selected them, and the items are waiting for me at the store. So this right here tells me what my productions are. The only thing I have there is the greenhouses and the medium mushrooms, and it tells you what you supply and what you can get out of it. By doing that, we'll get some water right away and start doing those. I've already been to this, and of course, this is your settings menu where we can go in here and just to note a couple of things. We can turn the traffic on or off. We can turn the time, which I'll bring back to normal 1x time. You can pause the game in here. Seasonal growth just means that the times will progress month by 1 day. You can set that off and do a fixed visual where it never changes what it looks like outside. Snow off and on, that's pretty easy to understand. Crop destruction on or off. If you drive on the crops, you'll hurt them, destroy them. I'm going to turn that off. Periodic plowing, I like to plow, so we're going to turn that on. Fieldstone will put stones on the ground. Lime required, meaning that you have to spread lime. Weeds, of course, would be enabled. Disaster destruction would be for your tornadoes. Dirt, which would go on the vehicle. Automatic engine start is on. I usually like to turn that off so I can use the ignition on my keyboard for my vehicles. Fuel usage is going to be normal. Now, this is set to where AI workers will actually refill and refuel with things, and they'll actually buy automatically. I usually turn that stuff off, so I have to buy it myself, and they won't waste and use my money up without me knowing. General controls I will not go over right now. One will give you your different types of things that you can do by hitting different keys based on whether you're walking or in a vehicle. All right. So over here, we're in August. It is 9:12 in the morning. They're in the top right of your screen, and we are set at one speed. We have $108,000 in our bank account. It's sunny, but it looks like the forecast may be some rain coming up. Underneath that, because I do have a contract selected, it does tell me how much I've done with that contract and what field that's on. So when I get ready to do that contract, I can do it. So if you press 9 on your keyboard, you can change the mini map on the bottom left from round to square, or you can see a bigger version of the mini map. Just hit 9 again and you'll get rid of it. 9 will bring it back again. I tend to like the square one. So anyway, a little bit of an overview. Again, if you're a veteran to the game, you know all that stuff, but I'm doing this for the benefit of new players. After you've done the tutorial, what would be the next thing to do? Well, one of the first things you should do is look and see on the fields that you own if you have any fields that are ready to be harvested. Now, in this case, we have a rice field that's ready to be harvested. And if I go up and stand in it, you see on the bottom right, it'll tell me what's going on here, what the crop is, what the status is. The growth says ready to harvest. And the yield bonus is if you've done all the field work, such as fertilizing, plowing, cultivating, mulching, and all the things that you do to get a growth stage. And some different crops respond a little different to that. It also says needs plowing, so that when I'm done, I want to go ahead and plow it. And you don't own a plow by default, so I'm going to have to buy a plow. In the meantime, that does need to be harvested. So I would recommend when you first start, look around, walk around your farm, get an idea of what work needs to be done off the bat, whether you have crops that are ready to harvest and how long you have to harvest them, whether you have mowing to do or what it is that you need to do right away. So the first thing definitely would be to harvest the rice. So we're going to go in here and get into the Iseki rice harvester, and let's head out to the field and let's harvest some rice. We go ahead and turn on the harvester, which will cause the cutters to start moving. And if you want to do this manually, obviously, then you can do that. You do have to lower the implement when you turn it on by pressing V. So I'm going to now lower it, and we're going to start into this field. Now, obviously, one of the great anticipated features of Farm Sim 25 is that you can use a steering assistance or you can hire an AI worker. So in order to facilitate that, you would hold down H, keep it pressed down, and you'll have options between AI settings, which means the worker will actually do the field for you, and steering assist, which means that you will do the field, but you'll have lines to help guide you. So you have working width, which is the size of the implement, and number of headlands, which the headland means you go around the outside first. We're going to go with default of 3. Work direction allows you, if you do change this, you can change in degrees, and it'll change these lines in the middle to 180. And on 175, we can't go to 180. It'll go back to 0. But at 175, you see it is going the other direction. So it would be best to leave it on automatic at the beginning. All right. If you want the lines to be seen, that's great. So let's say we're going to use steering assist to plow this or to harvest this field. What we would do is just set all these settings where we want it, hit OK, and then now we are back on the field. Notice that we have an outline in blue with a yellow line. And if you want to go back to the beginning on this, that would be great. I was a little bit off there on my line. What you would do then is you would select the line. I've got my keys remapped, but you can do the H key by pressing it just real quick. And you can also bind it to other keys, which I've done. It's now green, which means I'm going to follow that line. Then I would hit cruise control, which would be 3 by default. I've changed mine. And once you hit cruise, or you can just hit the gas manually. I like cruise, so I don't have to mess with it. And it'll start driving the field on the line that you've now selected for you. So when you get to the end, sometimes it will turn. Other times it will not catch the turn. So you got to manually stop it, turn it a little bit, line it up kind of on the where the orange line is. Hit your key again in order to select it, hit your cruise control, and now we're back following the line around. Not too complicated, very easy system to learn. You just have to play with it and you'll understand exactly how all the ins and outs work. So we'll turn just a little bit. Again, make sure that we've got the lane that we're in turning blue. Capture the line by hitting our H key or whatever other hotkey we've set up. You wouldn't hold H, you would just tap it. Okay. And then cruise control. Or just hit the gas pedal, or just hit forward, and you can apply forward motion manually. Okay. So we're going to do this head lane. Now, let's say that we get down here and we decide we want to hire a worker. Well, for a small fee, you can do that. Go ahead and stop the combine, turn off the cutter, or hold H key down, and then instead of steering assist, go to AI worker. This will now use the same pattern that you had before if you don't change anything. You can tell it what to start going up and down the field or do headlands. When you're harvesting, you want to do headlands first. You can tell it to skip lines if you want to, which I won't do, and then hit OK. Now, it doesn't start going until you tap H. So if I now tap H, now my hired worker is going to line up, and he's going to start following the line and harvesting the crop for you. Now, this does require a small fee, so he will be charging you a little bit. See our money going down. Now, when he comes to the end of the row, sometimes you got to be patient, especially if they're doing the headlands, because they're making a turn. So sometimes they do a little bit of wonky stuff in order to turn, but if you just let them go, 9 times out of 10, they'll work out what they're doing. Okay? So this hired worker is getting this crop harvested. And while he's going, what we'll do is we'll tab to another vehicle. That's down at the shop where the vehicles are for that contract. We're now in our little jeepney type thing. We now have our little truck with a tipper on it. And we'll go ahead and grab this and take it to the field, because eventually we're going to have to empty the harvester out. Same thing with the rice harvester as it is with the other ones that harvest grain. They're just set up a little bit. Now you see him moving around over there. He's setting up in order to make that turn. But they will actually do. Now they do drive in the crop. Unfortunately, AI isn't that smart yet. That's okay though. They're getting there. With the rice field, this thing on the end is to flood the field, which we're not going to worry about right now. We'll continue on from there. One thing we do need is we do need water down here for our farm. What we'll do is we'll go into the construction menu, and we'll go to the top thing called this little barn icon. You've got sheds, you got silos for storage, including a bale and a pallet storage right there. And then you've got silo extensions. And then you've got constructibles, which are buildings that you can put down and build by supplying materials to them. Then you've got containers, this old wind wheel with a water tank that will also supply us water. And I like this better than I like that tank. It is cheaper. Go ahead and place it down right there. Now, it will cost money to get water from that, but there are very few places on this map to get free water. One place you can get free water from is from your bogs once you fill them with water later. Okay. So I'm going to need a water trailer. So I'm going to go into my vehicle shop by pressing the hotkey, which is P. I'm here to animals section under barrels. Then you've got some bigger ones, and you've also got some little water tanks. I like the little one. We're going to select this one right here. It's only $58.50. Let's head over to it. Now, traffic will overtake you. They will pass you. So don't be shocked when that happens. If you hit a road sign, by, for example, in your single player, it will knock it down. When you log into the game next time, it'll be back where it's supposed to be, though. Go ahead and connect to the water tank. And let's head back. So approaching our farm, it looks like our combine is still harvesting that field. So I'm going to pull in. I'm going to pull up to the water tower, and I'm going to fill this tank with water. So when you pull up, if you hit your F1 menu, it'll say start filling, and I'll go ahead and hit R. My water will start filling that tank, and it will start charging me money for that. You supply water. These two greenhouses are connected, so that one blue tank right there will cover the entirety of both of those. Now that took one trailer load. I'll go over to the blue tank here on the greenhouses for the mushrooms. Go ahead and fill that. If you find this wrench icon, go up and press R. It'll bring you right straight to the production chain, or you can go to this icon right here in your escape menu. But right here, you got Anaki mushrooms and oyster mushrooms. Now, when they are produced in these pallets, first of all, you want to activate the production of each one of these. It's already been activated, so we don't have to activate it here. But in order to activate a production, you would go ahead and highlight it and hit activate where it says deactivate. Now, right here, as we get these mushrooms, the output mode is now storing. So you notice that we do have a capacity here. If I want to change my output mode, I can change it from storing by going down here to the bottom to selling, which will sell directly for a discount, or distribute them, which means they would distribute them to other productions that take mushrooms. Go to distributing. I think they'll spawn them out because there's nothing to distribute for. It used to be one that they had where it said spawn. I'm not sure. Let's set that at distributing and see what it does. It's the first time I've used these in 25. So, all right. So we'll leave that to go. All right. We'll run over to our rice and do the same thing. So these seedlings will grow. You need these in order to replant your regular rice. Now, it looks like my combine is full. So we're going to go over here to the it's not an Izeki, to the lizard truck and get in it. And then we'll go down to the combine. That entire field is finished. I don't know if it actually filled the combine, but it is finished. And when they're done, they'll just shut off and park there. The second rice field, we do have a third one to harvest, which I think I'll actually go ahead and harvest that offline. Since my combine's not full, I'm just going to head straight over there and we're going to get that other harvest done. So in the meantime, guys, I think we're going to leave the video off right there. Questions that we haven't covered, please let me know in the comments. You can also find me on the live stream. I live stream this game quite often, almost every day, and I'll be happy to help you. Until next time, I appreciate you watching. Let me know how you feel about the format of the video, if you want me to continue in tutorial mode, or if you want me to go into just a regular playthrough. We'll do that. And if we get enough good response, we'll go ahead and keep continuing. So anyway, guys, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button. We'll see you next time. Wheels out and happy farming.